Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. We have been following what is happening in the United States vis-a-vis India as well as Israel to dissect what is the relationship between India and United States from various perspectives. We have with us Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar and General Ravi Shankar. Namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel, sir. As always, a pleasure to have you.
Namaskar and thanks a lot, Sree Iyer ji, for calling me once again on the channel
And,
after a
and
long time.
yes, indeed, sir. My bad. It's been
No, it's not
questions.
your bad. It's just that things have happened that way, and it's a pleasure always to be with on P Gurus. And
And viewers, this video is being beamed on both Gunner Shot as well as on P Guru. So wherever you are watching, please like this video because General Ravi Shankar has a slide deck to share with us, and we are going to take a look at the nuts and bolts of the situation. I mean, if US can walk away from its most trusted partner, Israel, what of India? So all these things will be going through your mind. So General Ravi Shankar is going to lay it down bare for us what he feels and how he feels the India-US relationship should be proceeding. Over to you, sir.
thanks a lot, Sree Iyer ji. Uh, Let me put a few issues together first. We are talking of two big nations. Uh, our ex-foreign secretary and the National Security Advisor, Mr. Shiv Shankar Menon, he calls them super states. He calls India, China, USA as super states. And he's written an article about this in Foreign Affairs. We're talking about the two biggest democracies. And democracies have friction because what is democracy? All differing opinions. So, with such great democracies, there will be friction. So, let's not think that everything will be nice and smooth. The relationship historically between a democracy and autocracy or a democracy and a dictatorship has always been smooth, even in the US context. You're talking of a global power, established global power, and a rising power, and a power which is getting back to its roots. So the relationship between India and USA has to be seen in a larger context. You're looking at the USA, which has one of the largest and the wealthiest Indian diaspora, where the Indian diaspora counts. Increasingly, they count in the American political system. The reverse is not true, right? So, and after all, even there, within the Indian diaspora, there's difference of opinion. In fact, I would not only say it's bipolar, it's tripolar or multipolar there also, right? Then there is an issue of mutual dependence between India and USA. And there's a huge mutual dependence. And we'll come to that. That's very important. Whether it's in the Indo Pacific or everything. Quad, very important. And then, of course, I'll look at the strategic things. We'll come to the tactical issues later. Sometime back, Ashley Tellis had written an article about a bad bet on India in foreign affairs. And, he felt that America was taking a bad bet on India and India won't deliver. I thought that was a poor way of looking at it for a person of Ashley Tellis' caliber. Um, Very poor. Because the whole story was American sided. There were not two sides to the whole story. And in the actual state of relations between America and India, at the government level, it's balanced. And that's my view, and that's my experience. The think tanks, the Twitterati, the social media artists rake up issues, but it's not so. So, what I'll do is I'll go through a set of slides which I've made, and then we'll talk about it. And then, of course, we can discuss various aspects of this relationship. And, uh, and then, of course, we can take questions from everyone. So, we'll
Yes,
have
sir.
the first slide. Yeah, we need to first understand, step back from whatever is happening now, xenophobia, Panun, Niger, all those rascals. Take a step back. Go back to the previous century. We were strategic adversaries. right? We were on the opposite sides of the fence. We are talking of the last century, sanctions due to missile firing, nuclear testing. They were siding with Pakistan, the whole lot. And somewhere around 2000, things changed. And now we are a strategic partner. We are not an ally. We are not an ally like, say, uh, the alliance between Australia and USA or Japan, or for that matter, even Philippines or the NATO alliance. We're not an ally. We're a strategic partner. There's a difference between a strategic partnership and an alliance. Now, the issue here again in this strategic partnership is that in many cases, in many instances, especially in the military sphere, we've done exercises, we've done a lot of actions, a lot of exchanges, a lot of things which are more than an ally. Why? Because we are simply two of the biggest armies, the three biggest armies in the world, or the four biggest armies in the world, along with Russia, right? And we've been interoperable despite our differences. And I'll come to that also. So, are you a strategic partner or are you a ally? You're, I think, something different now. We started with a strategic partnership, not an ally, but we are something more in certain aspects and something less in certain aspects. So this relationship is actually special. Okay, that's something which we have to understand and we can't lose sight of it. Okay, now we have to, this partnerships really started when President Obama and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh were there. Different administrations, different era. At that time, it was said that this will be a partnership of the century. And it has endured even now. We've gone through, you know, two tenures of the Congress backed government and two tenures of the BJP backed government. So that's 20 years, right? And we've gone through 4, 5 presidents: Obama, Trump, Biden, Clinton, whole lot, Bush, four, really. So if you look at it, at that time, it was called the partnership of the century. There's no change. Yeah, a lot of issues are there. Let's look at it the US point of view. Now, USA wants to continue to dominate the world. There's no doubt about it, right? But it needs India to do so. There is no doubt in USA's mind at any level that it cannot contain China without India. There's no way. Okay, right. India can handle China its present format. That's my uh, preposition always. But if you want to rise as a global power, you need USA as your strategic partner. Let's not have any doubts. You can't have China as your strategic partner. It's almost your enemy. If I go back to what George Fernandez said, enemy number one. I can't forget it because I used this phrase of enemy number one in the first dissertation I did when I was doing higher command in 2000. Okay. But then let's not look at it from a binary between India and China. India and USA. Look at what China says today. In fact, yesterday this article came out in South China Morning Post. He says US-India ties strained by Biden's gaffes, criticism, murder plot, but they need each other. Issues of xenophobia, yeah, all that. He says they'll get over it. India and US. China feels so. So why shouldn't we feel so? Okay. And he also says analysts in Washington will ensure nothing gets in the way of its efforts to counter China by partnering with New Delhi. We shouldn't have any doubts. Okay. This was about 2 months back. Here to stay. India US bound by shared interests won't be marred by recent incidents, analysts say. So this is a consistent position of China. They're worried. They're immensely worried about what's going on between India and USA. Okay, but then let's step back a little further. This cartoon is something which I use whenever I talk of these four powers. And guess where this comes from? South China Morning Post. South China Morning Post feels that India, USA, Russia, and China run the globe. And this was about last year. This is not recent. Okay. And I transferred it. I transferred it into a quadrilateral where India and USA are at the opposite ends with attraction, and China and Russia are at the opposite ends of this quadrilateral with mutual attraction. There's repulsion between India and China. There's repulsion between USA and Russia. You look at it. There's no doubt we can never forget that China India equations will be strained for a long time. Right. India will remain a global strategic partner for both Russia and USA. But in this process of the past 1 year, 2 years, earlier India used to be called a swing state. Today you're a balancer. You're balancing the equation between Russia and USA in some manner. And you're the conduit between them. Tomorrow, if there's a peace deal to come out there, they'll definitely use you. And don't forget, it was only our Prime Minister Modi who went and said this is not the age of conflict. And he was the only one who spoke to both Zelensky and Putin on the same day and said, "Look, cool off." It didn't work. That's a different story. Right. And this is something which we can never forget because this is the reality. And if you are a big power, you might as well learn to live with hiccups. Right? Okay. What does the Global Times view this partnership? That's important. He says the US and Indian interest in strengthening the strategic partnership is to balance China. They're not right. They're not wrong. It's absolutely correct. They're worried. The US intend to rope in China in India to counter China and Russia as wishful thinking. They're trying to put a spoke in this whole story. India, as a regional power that upholds strategic autonomy, is unwilling to be a pawn of any major power and does not want its national interest to be held hostage. Part true, part wrong. We don't want to be a pawn. We don't want our national interest to be held hostage. We uphold our strategic autonomy, all right. But the intent of this fellow is to drive a wedge between USA and India. That's not right. He says no Asian security architecture or industrial chain can be constructed without China. He's threatened by this equation, by the India-US equation. He says the end result of balancing China will be loss of self-interest of the countries involved in the balance. So China is, let me be very clear, is completely rattled by the India-US relationship. Okay? Look at India. You are the key global investment destination. If you look at any index in China, the investment is down. In India, it's going up. Supply lines are shifting. I mean, it's very interesting, and this is the debate and the discussion in USA, in informed circles, that India has done anti-dumping orders more than any other country, more than even USA. They realize it. They quote our story. We banned TikTok and other apps. Now they're still going into a suing and all that nonsense which you people know in USA. And we've done investment ban on them. USA is not done. And they quote India. They say, look, if India can do it, why can't we do it? And India is still trading with China, but they've kept them at arm's length. Right? Okay. Now let's look at certain military aspects. The earlier thinking in USA was that India needs USA to keep China at bay and to protect them. That's changed, and they know it. We made the Zojila tunnel, we made the Atal tunnel. There's one road, important road which we have made in this is in Eastern Ladakh, right? We've opened the Sela Tunnel. We've rebalanced forces to the north. We don't need anyone's help to, hold China, and they know it. USA knows it, China knows it, and that's why they were rattled. I've done a video called Five Things Which Rattled China. Part of that was this. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to have a rerun of that. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, I'm releasing that again. Then you look at the anti-piracy operations. Who's doing the controlling of that part of Indo-Pacific? Indo-Pacific has two constituents, Indo and Pacific, right? We are doing the anti-piracy operations and they're handling Houthis. It's a very clear demarcation. Is China doing anything here? Is Pakistan doing anything here? They're sitting in Djibouti and in Gwadar and sitting tight. Is Russia doing anything here? No, it's India. And the story is that the Indian naval forces and the US naval forces are in complete coordination with each other and carrying on. After all, we have done this Malabar exercise for 5-6 years. So there is a spin these days in, see, one of the problems with USA is they have a hangover of colonial times or the last century. Many people in the think tanks in USA don't realize that India has changed. There's a changed paradigm in India. Now you got Minicoy, you put a naval base there. Below that is Maldives, and below that is Diego Garcia. Now, if India and USA don't cooperate with each other in that area, tomorrow Maldives will be taken over by China, and all the the Indian Ocean routes will be, not available to you. You've done Milan exercise. It's a major naval exercise which we did. US ships were also there, and just 2 months back. Very important on the right bottom. I mean, it doesn't look the same. I mean, it's not related to any geographic location. But in the past 1 year, we've reduced Russian arms import. And today, USA is your biggest arms trading partner. So you can't wish away all those things. Right? Okay. Let's step back a little more, go zoom out. The left is, the West Asia and Israel, Rafah, all that nonsense is going on. But there is something else happening in the South China Sea. What's happening in the South China Sea? Almost every second day, there's a run-in between Philippines and China. Any day, bullets can fly there. If bullets fly there, be rest assured there's going to be something happening there. Who is this free power who will control Indian Ocean then? India. I've already told you, where we're controlling the Indo part of it with the USA. Naturally, the rest of the Quad will go there and do whatever it has to do. So there is a very clear strategic alignment between India and USA. Right? Of course, there will be difference of opinion. There will be difference of thought. There will be the think tanks in USA are conditioned to a particular way of thinking. Many times their writing is to put pressure on India. That's part of the game. Okay, there are transactional issues. I agree with you completely. This Pannun Nijar case is ongoing. But how much traction will it get? So what if a person is named? So many Americans have been named for so many things. What happened to them? Nothing happened. Yeah, it's slowly coming out from Canada that a lot of these problems are gangland killings there. And it's Canada which is actually the villain in the whole piece. Because they've given shelter to all rogues who got from here. And in this, even the USA is. But that's okay. It's their choice. Right. There, of course, there are a lot of chaps who talk of India being an illiberal democracy, increasing autocracy. I mean, is there a logic the elections are going on. Whoever the people of India want to choose will choose. Whether Modi comes or Karunanidhi comes from his grave home, however they bothered. It is my choice, right? They don't have an opinion on that. They can give their opinion, but does it matter? They talk of xenophobia. What about them? It's the same. But are these the things which define the relationship or something bigger? And we have to understand the US has a behavioral history of being a bully wherever it wants to be the big partner. So be it, let him be. How does it matter us? Right? And their behavioral history is they behave very well with autocracies. They find it very convenient. Probably it's a new experience for USA also to deal with a democracy. Right? They've never dealt with democracies on an equal footing. Right? And then, of course, we have to understand a lot of these things will get done for election purposes. After all, there are elections in India. US and India is not a big election issue. But India and US will become an election issue between Biden and Trump as days go by. Okay. And of course, for whatever reason, they've sent a Maverick as a US ambassador in India and he keeps shooting his mouth off. Right, without knowing it, we don't know what he's talking. I don't know whether he knows what he's talking, but I thought of all the I've been tracking and following many ambassadors down the line, going back in time. Patrick Daniel Moynihan and Frank Wisner and all those people. In that lineup, Eric Garcetti comes a pale shadow, and he's adding to the problems. So there are certain issues of this nature which will mar cases, and this is my take. I think we need to be a little more, calm about it and go ahead with the major issue because we can't lose the major sight of the major issue. छोटा बहुत तू मैं for an entertainment चलता रहेगा. I have no problem with it. Yeah. Yeah. You have any viewpoints, anything you want me to clarify? I'm prepared to clarify.
One is that
I,
Garcetti was a two-term mayor of Los Angeles City, and then this is his next appointment. If you notice, it took a long time before India accepted his credentials. There
yeah.
was a hesitation. I mean, let's just accept it. It took a while before India accepted his credentials. So there is clearly, Garcetti also probably wanted to wait it out because, when you are a two-term mayor and then you are termed out, the next option is to run for governor. Maybe he didn't see the road clear through the governorship of California. He wanted something else, and he's one of the cogs in the progressive wheel. So that has to
That's
be.
okay.
This is the background. I'm sure
Yeah.
Garcetti one-on-one will be a charming guy, and but we see him through what he's uttering. It's not what he is. So we have to just take a look at that. One thing that I wanted to ask you, General Ravi Shankar. You said that India needs to be beyond a strategic partner with the United States, and that India is now beginning to import more from US than from Russia. Now, so basically, India is moving towards a relationship similar to US and Israel. Could I say, can we draw those parallels?
No.
And why not?
There's no parallel because the equation with Israel is of an alliance, and Israel is dependent on USA. We're not dependent on USA the way Israel is. We need certain help from USA. There's no doubt about it. Equally, USA needs help from us. That's why I got that anti-piracy thing in. All right. The equations with Israel are very different. After all, for Israel, USA has been its lifeline. Not now, historically. USA is not our lifeline. It's never been our lifeline. Right.
Let me ask you
So
a slightly different question. This
no,
will
let me elucidate. And we are not dependent completely on its imports. We are importing certain high-tech stuff. After all, our Atmanirbharta plan is kicking in. It will take time. See, none of these things will happen overnight. We are getting high-tech stuff from there. It's good because their American items in our inventory uh, lead to interoperability. It's got other payoffs also. But we are doing a lot of Atmanirbharta, and our exports, defense exports, have started kicking off. So we shouldn't be dogmatic of the fact that we've switched from Russia to USA. No, that's not happened, right? Uh, we still continue to depend on Russia because some of the equipment which we have from Russia, you can't just throw it away. You can't throw a tank away in 10 years, 5, 10 years. It'll take 30, 40, 50 years. We'll have to go through upgradation and all that. So there's a lot more in this equation between India, Russia, India, USA. Whereas Israel, USA is completely different. We've never been dependent on USA for ammunition. If tomorrow we need ammunition, we have to depend on ourselves. In fact, probably have to go back to Russia because we have Russian equipment and they can't give us, USA can't give us that ammunition. So the whole thing is a little more nuanced than we think like that. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Yesterday, Biden came out clearly and said that if Israel does a land invasion into Rafah, then we are going to hold back some ammunition. The interesting thing is, one of the ammunition is actually designed in Israel but manufactured in USA. In other words, Israel has the design rights to it. Now, Israel might say that, hey, I got to have this thing. I cannot be, handcuffed the way this is. Let's say Israel seeks out India and says, okay, I have the design. Can you manufacture it for us? What do you think India will say?
Well, I don't think we'll be in the same kind of a situation because we don't have that situation. That's the first thing. With the Israel situation is completely different from the Indian situation. And whatever we do with China, I think India and US are on one page. Whatever we do with Pakistan, we are also on one page these days. Barring that, any interests in Indonesian, we've been handling it together. If you remember, 3 months back, 4 months back, during the Bangladesh elections, we had a certain amount of difference of opinion before the elections and all that. And then soon all that disappeared. So at some stage, the equations got ironed out, and things were okay. So the same thing, I don't see that kind of a parallel ever happening. Even let me clarify the Israel thing about it. Israel has also probably realized where it has stepped the line, and it has pulled back a bit. So the whole thing will reset. It's a matter of 24 hours. Give it 24 hours, and you'll see everything will be reset.
Let me just take this thing a little further. Thanks for that clarification. I'm going to ask you a slightly different question.
No, you can ask me any question. Doesn't matter. The more difficult, the better. Both for everyone. Yeah.
No, we believe in looking at things that perhaps others have not yet looked. So this is one of those things. I'm going to ask you a question on the similar lines. If you take any army that goes into a conflict zone where population is embedded with the soldiers, typically the casualty ratio, we call it, in some places they call it collateral damage, is 8:1 or 9:1, meaning 8 civilians will die for every soldier that dies when you have this embedded situation. Now, Israel says that in its current invasion of Gaza, that the ratio is 1:1, perhaps the lowest. Now, the US says, no, it is higher than that. This is US. How much of US's statement is because Biden is feeling nervous about Michigan, where there's a Muslim majority now, more or less, and a couple of other swing states where the Muslims are saying, American Muslims, of course, they're saying that unless you stop this We are not going to vote for you. They have already made their intentions clear.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know
That
how
that I agree.
they vote as a block. It's a problem for you,
No,
right?
that
So
is that's an internal issue which USA has to resolve on its own. But having said that, the civilian casualties in Gaza have been disproportionate. I mean, very right. Um, could Israel have done things differently? I think so. I've been saying this from day one. There were better alternatives or other better routes. But would they have done that? They wouldn't have because it was a national honor involved. They did a lot of things emotionally because whatever happened on October 7th uh, shook the nation, right? And how nations react, you and I can't sit here and pontificate on that because it's their people, their kith and kin, and whatever they're doing it with a plan. Does it infringe human rights? It does. But then this is war, right? Are Palestinians in pain? They are in pain. Are they to be blamed? They have to share the blame because a lot of problems have been because of them. If the Palestinians were not to blame, they should have given up on Hamas long back and said, Hamas, get out. But they have not done that even now. Even now, Hamas is fighting from within the Palestinians. So you look at it, it's become a messy affair, very messy affair. Um, and I would say leave that to Israel and the Palestinians and USA to sort it out, whatever happens within USA. Whether USA chooses Biden or Trump, it doesn't matter me. Whether Muslims vote together or not, it's a matter which USA has to think of. I would rather like to think of what we have to do. Like I don't like USA, interfering in our affairs. I wouldn't like to interfere in their affairs. I wouldn't even like to comment on their affairs. In that too, in a naughty problem like this. And I think somewhere USA has gone wrong in the way they've handled things, and that is why today all their campuses are under siege, and it's for them to reflect. I'm not pontificating on that because this kind of a movement I've seen only after Vietnam War. I was a young boy, and we used to study about this. Those days there was no TV, nothing, but we heard about all this. We heard about Woodstock. Woodstock was a crazy movie which I saw when I was a teenager, late teenager. And what was Woodstock all about? Woodstock and Joan Baez and Santana and all that whole story was anti-Vietnam. That kind of a movement, and it has been repeated only now. In between all the wars which America has fought, it has not fought. So, America has to do a lot of introspection. There's a feeling within, whether you call it left, right, center, Muslim, woke, or, right, or whatever it is. There's a problem which America has to face. And that problem is within. And someone there in America has to sort it out. Would they like to do it the ham handed way? That's their choice. Would they like to do it politically? It's their choice. Can they do it? I don't know. Will Biden get re-elected? I don't know. I mean, I will be very frank with you. Whether Biden gets re-elected or Trump gets re-elected, the position of India for US won't change. It has not changed across two democratic governments earlier and two Republican governments earlier. Why would it change it now? So that's the way I look at it. Maybe I'm looking like a cat on the wall, but I get an overview from the wall.
thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. There are a lot of questions from our viewers.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
we'll take all questions, no problems.
thank you, G.
Oh,
Shankar, for
thank
becoming
you. Yeah,
your namesake.
thanks a lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I reacted.
Parmesh
Yeah.
Dwivedi, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Akash Krishan Tadani wants to know, in my measured view, the USA's form of governance is a democracy on the surface, but a closely held oligarchy on the inside. Your views?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a it's a solid democracy. If you feel the oldest democracy in the world is an oligarchy, then where is democracy left? You have to have a fundamental question: where is democracy left? Right, and it has its own. It's a capitalist model. That's the way I would prefer to talk about it. I don't think it's I don't think it's oligarchy by any stretch of imagination.
Next one, please. Sundar Kedambi wants to know, sir, should we enter into a military alliance with US like NATO to counter China? What seems like more like a paper tiger?
You don't need to be that's what I said. You don't need to be an alliance partner with anyone. Being an alliance partner with the USA runs counter to your interests with Russia. And remember, you can't say Russia is out of the equation from your strategic thing. Let me explain Russia first, then I'll get back to this. You must understand Russia stood by us through thick and thin through all the wars with Pakistan. Right? Even now, your best air defense systems are the S-400, which is from Russia. You're getting cheap oil from there. It serves your national interest. It doesn't matter a sausage who talks what. And that same oil you sell at a profit to, Europe and USA. So there's no, what shall I say, scruples about this internationally. So, right. By having a good relationship with Russia, and you are at the position still, like which I told you, uh, at some point of time to influence to bring peace in Russia-Ukraine conflict. Whether you can bring peace or not is different, but both look at you to for that. And then, as far as you have an equation with Russia, China and Russia, they'll get close. If you spurn Russia, they'll get close. Then you have a problem. You don't only oppose China, you oppose Russia also. And then there's a thing developing between Russia, China, Iran, and Korea. It's called the CRICS. And this is something I'm doing tomorrow with General Raj Shukla. The rise of the CRICS and where does India stand? You have to analyze this 360 degrees. Okay. So you have to have balance there. And you lose that balance if you get into alliance with USA. So it's better to be a strategic partner with USA. And you're a power of your own. Because alliance has different connotations. That means you have to give troops. They have to give you troops in thing and weapons and deployment and all that. We don't want to do that. We still have a 3,000-kilometer border with China. We don't, by being an alliance partner with, USA, you don't want to tip the balance. Then how do you handle this alliance with Pakistan? Because USA has got its own compulsions on Pakistan. They've gone back to Pakistan in this current thing. Why Pakistan? US is using Pakistan and Afghanistan to put pressure on Iran. I mean, you have to look at this kaleidoscope in a deeper manner. Like I said, in certain cases, especially in the military sphere, we are more than an alliance partner. The thing with US allies all over the world, all others, put together are what India is. You are a big country. I mean, we have to start thinking big. And that's how USA looks at you. Equal partner militarily. That's why I took the trouble of telling you of that anti-piracy operation. Anti-piracy is not anti-piracy. It is control of the seas there. You're controlling the Indo part of the Indo-Pacific. If tomorrow something happens and USA has to redeploy to South China Sea, who will control this? India. There has to be Indian support to USA to control this area, which is happening. In fact, today there's an article also which says India has surreptitiously become an alliance partner. There's nothing to be a surreptitious alliance partner. But like I said, we are doing certain things more than an ally. Right? Quad is not a paper tiger. Quad is a structure. And the structure of Quad gives you the flexibility to do what you want. Because you must understand, Japan and US, Australia won't come into the Indian Ocean. And they don't have the capability to come into the Indian Ocean. In the Western Pacific, it has to be the Pacific powers. Okay? In the Indian Ocean, it is only USA and India. They are the two major naval powers here. Unless you are aligned with each other, China will make an entry here. Right? So very. I hope Sundar, I've answered this question. I've taken some time because we have to be clear as to what this whole story is all about. Yeah.
Next one, please.
Yeah.
Chaitanya Takle wants to know how will military industrial complex of USA thrive if India stops importing ammunition?
First and foremost, Chaitanya, let me tell you, Takliji, we've never imported ammunition from USA. No ammunition we have ever imported. We have imported ammunition from Russia, which is reducing because Russia itself is importing from North Korea, so we have our own ammunition. We only take certain high-tech systems from them. And the military industrial complex of USA doesn't depend on India. It has got Australia, it has got Japan, it has got South Korea, it has got Philippines, it has got the entire NATO. That is where the big bucks are. Okay. Here it's development of a relationship. And I wouldn't like to depend on the military industrial complex of USA or any country for that matter. But like I said, this is going to take 10-15 years. It's not going to happen overnight. And we have a long
Next one.
way to go before we come out of that. Yeah.
Next one, please. Thank you, Disha. Why is Pak still a game changer for the Indo-US relations vis-a-vis India's role in BRICS? Even with the worst economy, they change geopolitics all the time.
Look, like I told you, see, Pakistan was out of favor for 1 year plus. Now, with the change situation in the Middle East, now USA wants to put pressure on Iran so that Iran leans off Israel. You see, the exchange between Israel and Iran, which happened, showed that, they're at balance. But Iran can do a lot of damage to Israel through its surrogates. Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, everyone. It's still supporting them. So you want to pressurize Iran and get a pullback on Iran. You need Pakistan and Afghanistan. That's the thing. So Pakistan has come back into favor. And then, if USA lets go of Pakistan, China will come and sit in it. That's even worse. Okay. So there is no way USA can let go of Pakistan. I mean, all of us know it, right? So it's a game changer. It'll change the game always. In fact, similarly, the Indo-US equation is also game changer for Pakistan. What is your role in BRICS? You have a tremendous role in BRICS. Please understand. You are the bulwark against Chinese expansion there. And remember, every guy in the BRICS, new chaps also are coming. You have a good relationship with them. The new members who are coming into BRICS, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Iran, everyone, they're all your partners. So you have a role to play in BRICS. The role India plays in BRICS is far different from what Pakistan plays otherwise. I mean, you have to differentiate, understand this also, Disha. Right? So, but this time the thing which is different with Pakistan is not getting a free ride for what it is doing or it is supposed to do. They're being held on a leash. Okay? And they're held on a leash. Even China is on a leash with Pakistan because after those killings of those Chinese engineers and all, everything has stopped in Pakistan. So Pakistan is being played at this point of time. And that will be a problem child for everyone. So we'll play along with it. Yeah.
Next one, please. JBJP, thank you so much. How to pressurize USA to hand over Pannu to Bharat? Why do you need him in Bharat? He's doing just fine right there.
Let- Look, okay, I have a view and which I think I must share. Who has Pannu? Who knew about Pannu 1 year back? You gave him importance, he became important. If you had ignored him, nothing would have happened. And I'll give you a story. I mean, my own experience. This was in Bombay, 2013. So some are, Bombay mangroves are very important, right? Because they prevent sea erosion into the land and all. So wherever there's a mangrove, there is people take care. This is one of my shore-based establishments where there were mangroves. They did something. I mean, they didn't cut a mangrove or something. They put some mud and gave or like some reclamation for operational purposes. So there was one guy who took a photo of that, and next day it was in the headlines of Indian Express, local Bombay edition. And my staff came to me next day, sir, we are in trouble. And people take mangroves very seriously there. So I said, what's the trouble? The trouble, sir, this has come, and people from Delhi will start asking, army is destroying ecology, environment. It becomes big. And army doing it is something, it's always masala. So we are supposed to be the saviors of the nation, and you're doing destroying ecology. All that nonsense was written in it. So I read it. So I told my staff, okay, thank you. You go have your cup of tea. He said, what? I said, yes, go. Relax, enjoy yourself. What about this paper? I took this paper, put it upside down. Do I see anything? Nothing. Go. So I rang up someone in Delhi and I asked him, yeah, what's happening and anything about my formation and all. No, 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 nothing. So I told that guy, look, there's something. They told me, can you handle it? I said, yeah, I can handle it. So forget it. Even if it comes to my notice, we'll see. So people said, so the press is asking for a rejoinder and all that. Tell them that GOC was thinking over the whole story. We'll talk of it. So next day, third day, fourth day, nothing happened. End of story. So it didn't become important. So if you had ignored Panno from day one, he wouldn't have been what he is. Why do you want? I mean, you just had to ignore that fellow and you leave him to USA to handle. Yeah, be happy with it. Yeah, that's my view. It might be a little roundabout, but that's the way I look at it. I mean, unless you have anything to say, Sree Iyer.
No, 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 no. I've also, I've stopped giving him space. I used to do this thing a little bit when
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
don't
making
talk
some
about
really
him.
outrageous statements, like, we will take down every Air India flight and
No,
all that stuff.
he's an
Then I
idiot.
realized, verbal diarrhea, so I let it go.
Yeah.
Magnet Ranga wants to know, you have done a series on the fast decline of China. If US relationship with India is to balance China, what happens once China collapses as is likely? US is considered fair with a friend.
Look, let's be very clear about one thing. China won't collapse. We should be very clear about that. A people of billion, 1.4 billion, give or take, it could be 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 billion, won't collapse. It will just deflate. It will still remain a troublesome country. It is still a big country. China, remember, when Mao was there, was full of poverty, full of problem, thing, everything. But still, he was a problem to the world. Mao's period, they fought with India, they fought with Vietnam, they fought with in what shall I say, Cambodia, Korea, with US. So China will remain a problem hereafter. It's not going to collapse and wish away unless there's a complete change of the Communist Party and something happens and the Communist Party goes away. It's a little difficult because the Communist Party is too well entrenched in China. I expect this turnout of happening maybe 5-10 years down the line. If this collapse or the slowdown or the decline, I would call it decline of China, not collapse. It's a decline. Because the decline is really not terminated. It's an interminable kind of a thing. So that will continue. At some point of time, will there be a regime change? This needs to be seen then. Now, whether US is considered fair weather front or not is a different story. We'll handle it. We've handled USA earlier also. We are not new. We know USA. What USA we know well. So don't worry. Yeah.
Arjuna Uvacha wants to know, in the context of Atmanirbharta in defense, do your 2020 estimate for drone prototypes still hold?
Yeah, I have no change. There's no change. In fact, I went and spoke. Uh, what I would suggest is today morning I put out a video on the talk I gave in the year of the technology seminar in Manaksha Center. It's a 15-minute video. Have a look at it. Go to Ganashot. It's today's video. Morning I put it out at 8 o'clock. Have a look at it. What I spoke. All these things are there in that. My entire whole story of my technology outlook is I gave it to them.
Next one, please. Aksh wants to know, have USA-India relationship gone bad? One, USA have not given headlead the Pakistan-American terrorists. Two, Indian embassy burned down in Cal. It wasn't burned down. They tried to set fire to it.
No. These are minor issues. That's why I said these are very minor issues which one shouldn't get too worried about.
Next
At
one,
least
please.
better off there. We don't need. We have gone past that stage. Yeah.
Ragul wants to know, USA criticizes democracy, press releases, freedom with India, also long visa service time. On the other side, supports our stance with China and relocation of some industry manufacturing. I don't know. I
That's
think
part of the
he's needs
game.
some clarity. Yeah.
Look, they can. It's not USA which is doing it. It is some sections in USA who are doing this. Okay, they'll talk what they want. And second, we should also be clear that we have problems. Are we without problems? Are we without these issues of democracy, press, and religious freedoms? Are we clean? We are not. So if you are not clean, and they talk, some fool talks in USA, listen to it and ignore it and respond it if you want. Like what's happening in USA, you can also respond. Democracies will have friction. Please understand this. Democracies have different opinions. Now you want to be democratic and criticize USA. You don't want him to criticize you. How is it feasible? Accept criticism. And part of being a big power is you rise and you want to be a big power, you must learn to accept criticism. Okay, that's part of this thing. If you don't want to accept criticism, you're like a tin pot dictator. So leave it. Yeah.
N. Rajaraman wants to know, General Shankar, what will be the part of Turkey in this geopolitics? Would they support China against India? Do they really carry any weight?
Turkey has got no great this thing. Turkey is part of NATO. It wants to get into EU. It's part of EU, I think. So they want, and so they'll be stuck. And its economy is in a bad shape. They also want to be part of the Muslim world, leader in the Muslim politics, right? They will support China. Turkey is swinging everywhere it wants, and that's what restricts Turkey. See, you must understand, Turkey's strategic location is poor. It's only good vis-a-vis Russia and Ukraine through the Bosphorus and the Central Asian republics. Okay, otherwise Turkey has got no value anymore. It's a link between. It was the old link between Europe and Asia. It's no more. All that is those calculations have gone. Today the hot game is Indo-Pacific.
Very true. Chirag and Kesha Shah,
thanks a
thank
lot.
you so much. Jahangir Gotla wants to know, looking at Pakistan's continuous meddling, isn't it imperative that India take action rather than wait for it to disintegrate naturally?
What action do you want to take against Pakistan? And waste your time and energy. Just let him be. Let him, what shall I say, stew in his own juices. He's in a bad shape. Let him stew. You don't have to do anything with Pakistan. Just wait it out. The longer you wait out with Pakistan, the better it is because you will grow. You will grow stronger. You're getting a, a peace dividend. Don't let this peace dividend go. This is the time when we need to grow. So, don't be bloodthirsty about sorting out Pakistan. Not worth it.
Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. Viewers, I hope you understand the value of our interactions. General Ravi Shankar has amazingly articulated the situation. And this is something that everybody, not just India or US, but the whole world can take a look at, because these are all things that will matter in the years to come. Like the Indo-Pacific, how who's taking what responsibility, and only mature countries can do these things. That even if there's a friction at a political level, at the ground, people are clear that they'll continue to do what they are doing. And emotion should not come in the way. And that's exactly the point here. The emotion should not be dictating such policies. And I think General Ravi Shankar has articulated it wonderfully. Sir, thank you so much. Looking forward to our next hangout. Namaskar.
Yeah, yeah. Namaskar. Thank you.